Hello, this is Catherine Marie, and you're listening to Long COVID Real Talk. Today we have a special guest, Matthew, and we are very excited to hear his story. Matthew, thank you for being on the podcast today.
No problem.
So, as we get started here, what was your life like before you got COVID?
My life before I got COVID was I was working at a local hospital as a housekeeper in the emergency room. And so I technically would encounter a lot of people with it. I knew I had COVID at the beginning of the pandemic. I went to the hospital like 3 times. And they kind of brushed it off and saying it was stress related, which was not true. I didn't actually get diagnosed with long COVID until October 31st of this year. But I had to quit my job as a housekeeper because I live with my parents and my dad has a condition where if he caught it, he would die. And so that was a very traumatic decision making. And even though I was like in the prime of my career at the hospital, I, I won like numerous awards. But, I want to say, in the early days of the pandemic, even though we did not know exactly what was going on, I kept telling my boss, we gotta prepare, we gotta prepare. And, nobody would listen to me. And, and then, because I asked him, how do we protect ourselves and how do we clean the rooms? And he said, well, just treat it as like the flu. And I said, okay, but it's not like the flu.
Right.
And I said, what do I do when I go home? How do I, what do I do? Because I live with my parents and, they said, well, take your clothes off in the garage and then go shower. But that's not the problem. The problem is the transmission can be anywhere in the room or whatever. You can touch anything, you've got it. But and I said, because to be honest with you, I was so scared of the situation. I bought my own PPE stuff at the beginning of the pandemic, and so because they weren't supplying the proper PPE, we even had uh you know booties if the person would if they would step on the ground and you step in it or whatever, and then jump forward to last year, September 19th of
Mm-hmm.
last year. That was my second infection of COVID. My mom got it too. And because my grandfather was home from a function he went to. And my mom didn't get it as bad as I did. We both took the required like Paxil for a couple of days, but I never recovered.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. 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 And I'm 36 years old, I should be up and about and doing things and like in the prime of my career kind of thing.
Yeah.
And, which, really sucks because I lost my insurance unexpectedly because they didn't even tell me. So that put a hold on all my care for long COVID. And but Since I went to the long COVID clinic at Northwestern in Chicago, I saw a neurologist. Her name is Dr. Dawa, Bawa. And then I also saw Dr. Bailey. He's a pulmonologist. And they're all connected within the clinic at Northwestern. And I one of the things I noticed, and I'm sure but I have like 2 pages full of symptoms now that I can relate to.
Sure.
And it's like, how do you like manage them? How do you go day by day? I just want something to manage, like minimize, not like cure it, but minimize the symptoms every day. Just something so it's manageable. But and I was talking to the doctors about that, and it's still a ways away, but it really sucks because like some people in my family don't believe I have it, and they think I'm making it up,
Yeah.
and they think I'm like lazy, that I don't want to work and all this kind of stuff, and which is not true because I to be honest with you, I was on my feet. I worked 40 hours a week with no problem prior to I had COVID. But now I don't even know if I'll last an hour without even feeling crappy during the day. And like I said, I had speech therapy twice a week this week, so that's why I had to have a day off this week because of my they did a cognitive skills test at Northwestern when I went there, and they collaborated the results, and then I have to go to speech therapy, and then from there I go to a cardiology guy that is down at Northwestern too. That's the end
Mhm.
of the month. So that's my life.
It sounds like it's hard to manage all the doctor's appointments.
I have them in my phone, so I get alerts. So
Oh, that's a good idea. I put mine
yeah,
in my planner.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I wish people in our government would take this more seriously because it's a crisis and it should be addressed. Because, like my generation, there's a lot of people that are out of work right now that can't work anymore. And we're losing that population working right now. And all I can say is, like, for my instance, I can't even plan things in advance anymore. I have to go day by day. You know, I don't know how I feel. I don't know. I could have 3 days good, and then the next few days could be awful, where I'm in bed. And, it's just like a roller coaster. It's like you don't know how you feel. The thing that really stresses me out is I wish we would have started the pandemic, like the pandemic preparedness, a lot earlier
Mhm.
than initially when we closed everything down. 'Cause that would have done a lot of things. That would have sent masks to everybody in the mail. We had the stockpile, but we never used it. Yeah.
Yeah. I was working as a nurse practitioner at the time, and I remember for a time I was the only person wearing a mask.
Oh yeah. And it's funny you mentioned that. Where I worked, we didn't have at the time masks weren't even required yet.
Right, right.
And I'm like, Yeah. There was like new information coming out every single day regarding, what to do. But there was no set in stone guidelines to see what we should do, like how to protect ourselves, how to, clean a room, for instance, even though it was all transmissible. But, like for my instance, I was at that hospital for roughly 10 years, and it sucks because that was my income. And now I had to apply for disabilities. And I got denied, but I appealed. I'm waiting for the decision right now. But I just sent a bunch of most recent medical records from the COVID clinic that I was at. But it's like, why isn't anybody talking about this crisis beside us?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
It's like they talk about other things, but it's like, and I tell this to people, I said, it's like we're a forgotten population out here, and it's like they don't care about us. They just care about getting elected.
Yeah. And I also wanted to mention, it sounds like you really enjoyed your job and you loved your
Oh,
work
yeah.
and you were really
Yeah.
good at it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it big time, and it really stinks now because, like I said, I just don't know when I'll have flare-ups. I
Yeah,
don't know if I will last the whole day without feeling crummy or whatever,
yeah,
but, it's but this is like the new part of me now I have to adjust to.
right.
But it's hard, but now do I think the hospital could have handled things better? Absolutely. It was
Yeah,
negligence in a big, big way. But the thing that I looked at, since the lockdown, you cannot they put a statute in there that you cannot sue your employer for long COVID related incidents from your employer. I just found this out the other day because I was looking at suing them because of their negligence, and because there was that was put in there when they locked down the country. I can understand, but again, like a healthcare setting, you should be ready for any situation that comes. Not just say, "Oh, well, we're gonna pick up the pieces as we go along," kind of thing. And then, it's like there's no responsibility.
right. And no, what's the word? Accountability.
Right, right,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, and it's and I don't like to like put a business at fault, but they obviously, the healthcare industry were pretty negligent with all their stuff at the beginning. But and then then people were taking our supplies from the rooms. So we had to take the supplies out of the room and lock them up because people were taking them. But it's like I just don't want to live through that again. I hope we don't live it through again as a country. But the damage is already done. We have, a lot of people with lasting effects from long COVID now that they're not addressing. And the only person that I know of that actually is serious about it is Senator Bernie Sanders. He actually put out a bill that addresses long COVID. It's called the Long COVID Moonshot Bill, and it addresses treatments, research, education, and yeah, research, education, and I forgot the other one, but it's like a big bill. It would be like almost like $12 billion.
I've heard of that bill. I just didn't realize that he was the one that put it up.
Yeah, yeah. But the problem now is, and I don't want I don't want to bring anything into this politically, but you know, but with the new administration coming in, I'm really worried with the Health and Human Services guy because as someone with long COVID, and he doesn't believe in treatments or vaccines or whatever. It's like, well, use snake oil, even though that's proven not to work. But you know, and then we're gonna go probably. Like I said, I hope there's no outbreaks, and I hope to God there's no pandemic in the next 4 years because we can't stand it.
So,
Yeah,
so you're very involved in the COVID Longhauler advocacy group on Facebook. Tell me more about that.
it's actually founded by a lady. Her name is Karen.
Hmm.
She's out of Florida. She's the founder.
Hmm.
She's about my age, and she used to be a firefighter and paramedic.
Cool.
And the way she got COVID was she was working, and somehow some of her firefighters went to like a conference or whatever, and someone brought it back to the firehouse,
Oh, no.
and she never recovered since 2020. But she does a lot. She goes to a lot of conferences. She goes to medical shows, like, to tell what COVID is. If you go on their website, they have a huge book to explain, like, long COVID, like disability, like each section, there's terminology. So now we get all that information that, uh, that is collaborated on the website to educate the public, the doctors, just people in general, like your family, your friends, or whatever.
Hmm.
You know, it's like that's a big thing, educating, because like not everybody actually believes this is a serious thing, and it's interesting because like there's even though we're not having people pass away from it like at record numbers each day, but there's still people dying of COVID every day. But But the thing to put in perspective is we have to pass legislation to come up with treatments, education, and whatever else they need to do. Because right now, like for example, I came across Northwestern just by accident in one of the COVID groups that I'm in, and I asked around what they thought about it, and they said it was great, and it is. But a lot of these other areas in the United States don't have a COVID clinic or whatever, or they just have one for the whole entire state, which
Right.
is which is not right.
Right.
And you know, I'm lucky. We have like 4 big hospitals in Chicago, but we'll see. I don't know. I mean, I just wish I could go back to my job, but I don't see it happening.
So, for people who are interested in spreading awareness and helping people become more educated, how would you recommend they do that?
They can go onto the Facebook page at COVID Longhauler 19. That It's a private group, but they will they accept you. You have to answer a couple questions. But they have a regular Facebook page too. That's COVID 19 long hauler awareness page, and they have a website too.
Okay. I'll make sure we put those in the description of this episode.
Yeah, yeah,
People can find it more easily.
yeah. So, how did you know your case? I was listening the other day. Your case. How did you notice symptoms for you? Like how many years ago?
I got COVID one time in June of 2022. It was not a very it was like an infection and I was sick, but I didn't have to be
Right,
hospitalized or anything like
right,
that.
right,
And
right.
I didn't know I had long COVID for a few weeks. And the reason why I felt like I
Mhm.
knew pretty fast that I had it was because one of my little sisters has it. So when I started having the same symptoms as her, and I'd been hearing from
Yeah,
her what she was going through, so that's how I
yeah,
knew.
yeah,
I would say by Christmas of 2022, I was certain that I had it.
yeah. Yeah, 'cause, like, for me, I noticed it last year when we went to a, concert. I was like, we had to walk up a steep hill, okay? But I had no problems with that before I had COVID, and, you know, I literally almost, like, fainted. I think it was because, my lungs were not, like, taking in the oxygen that it needs normally,
Yeah.
and but, you know, it's not fun.
I think one of the terms that I've heard it described is air hunger, like you're breathing, but your
Right,
body's not
right,
getting the
right,
oxygen.
right.
Yeah.
And another thing, the hospital where I used to work at, we lost actually, 2 people where I used to work with. They had COVID, so they died of it.
Wow.
And yeah, yeah. So, and
Terrible.
the problem with COVID is there's like so many different areas in it, and it affects you like in so many things.
Mhm.
And I have people telling me, "Oh, don't be so open about your diagnosis." I said, "Well, this is like a journal for me to tell people how I feel every day,
Yeah,
and to raise awareness." Because it is real and it affects some millions of people.
sure.
And I said, if you don't like it, then don't look at it. Just don't. And like so I you got any more questions or
Yeah, just one. What sort of things, if any, have you developed over time to be able to live better with long COVID? Like any tips or tricks or life hacks?
well, I wouldn't say they're great, but right now, like I go to bed really early than when I used to.
Mhm.
Because like I on some days when I feel awful, I would go to bed about 6:30 or 7 o'clock in the evening. Like before COVID, I would go to bed at about 9 or 9:30. And but it's kind of like a borderline because you know, I don't know how I'll feel that day. So it's either you go to bed early or you go to bed at 9. So and the other thing is my speech therapist keeps telling me this, well, you need to do more things. And I keep telling her it's kind of hard when you feel like crap every day.
That's for sure.
And I said, I understand that. And I said, it's not I don't want to do anything. It's just I don't have any energy and I get tired really quick
Yeah.
out of the blue.
Right.
And and now I had to find a new primary care doctor because my old one, she gaslit me. She thought it was all this whole thing is in my head. So the last time I was there,
Yeah.
I literally had an argument with her. I said, "How can you be a doctor and say that?" And I said, I understand you don't believe it's real, but that doesn't make it right because there's billions of people like me that are suffering each day we don't know how we'll feel each day. Because she thinks it's all stress and it's anxiety and depression.
Right.
I said, no, it's not. I have, like 2 pages full of symptoms, and she just doesn't want to. So now I got a new primary care doctor through Northwestern. So
Great.
yeah, yeah,
Hopefully you'll better luck with that one.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, and then to be honest with you, the one thing I would love to have happen is just to have, not a full cure, just a remedy, like to minimize the symptoms to where they're like manageable.
Right.
Not like it won't cure it, it'll, where you can do things every day kind of thing.
Mhm.
And that's what I would really like to happen. Now, is it going to happen? I don't know, but you know.
I hope it does. I know at Stanford, which is the place near me, they're doing a lot of studies on it,
Mhm. Mhm.
and I know they're not the only ones. So
Right.
I
Right.
really hope
Right.
that in the next, at least 5 to 10 years, they'll have something for us,
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
concrete.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, like for me, I have and I even noticed this because like my brain fog can get really bad, and like I usually remember things like if somebody repeats something or what. No, I mean if they want me to repeat something, I can't repeat it anymore.
Mhm.
And but it's this is even though I went through another, like, life change too, which was when I broke my ankle in football, but that's another story. But this is, like, a major one because, for one, it's altering everything, my job status, my, can't make money kinda thing.
Yeah.
Even though I don't wanna depend on the government, but I have to. I don't know if this is true or not, but Social Security has not recognized long COVID as a disability yet. Is that true?
I'm not sure. I know that for workers' comp, which is
Right,
what
right,
I ended up
right.
doing, they used to have long COVID as something that you could get through work, and now you
Yeah,
cannot get it
right,
through work. Like,
right.
it's no longer a diagnosis for workers' comp. That's all I
Yeah, yeah. I guess they have to do it federally then to do that. So, and then, so yeah, I mean, I've been part of that group, and we try to push our congressional legislators and senators just to sign on to the long COVID moonshot bill.
Mhm.
And now there is a copy of that exact bill in the House right now. It's sponsored by Minnesota Representative Ilhan Omar. And now, you know, if we can get a couple more signatures, it can be brought up into committee.
Okay. The
Yeah.
signatures of, like, people like us or legislators?
No, the legislators.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. And I've been calling my senator like every day, asking him why he won't support it, and he won't support it.
Wonder why. It's weird.
He won't tell why. I'm just thinking if it's like an insurance lobby thing.
Hmm, who knows? So, is the COVID long hauler advocacy group, is that the one that they were having us write letters? Because I remember there was one group that I
Yeah,
was writing letters to. Okay,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
in so many groups. And
Yeah.
There's something else I wanted to mention, just like for anyone listening. On the Long COVID MD podcast that's done by Dr. Zeest Khan, she
Yep.
had somebody on who talked about the moonshot bill. So if you want to learn more about that, then go ahead and listen to her episode on Long COVID MD. There was someone who was actually, I don't know if they're in the COVID Longhauler advocacy group or what, but there are so many people that are doing such great work. And
Yeah.
it's like so impressive because we're I mean, the fact that anyone could do any work is astounding to me, considering we can barely take care of ourselves,
Right,
at the end of the
right,
day.
right,
But
right,
this is
right.
such great work. I'm just so grateful to them. I mean, I think all of us are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So go on Facebook, everybody. Go to the COVID Long Hauler Advocacy group. I will put the Facebook group in the description and the website as well. Matthew, he gave me his email, so if you want to reach out to Matthew for more information, his email is MatthewNeil NEIL at comcast.net, and that's all I have. Do you have any last minute stuff?
No, that's it.
Well, thank you for being on the podcast. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you for all of the advocacy that you've been doing and all the work that you've been doing on behalf of all of us. So,
Yeah.
and I'm really impressed with your knowledge of all of the legislative aspects of this. It has me excited to learn more about it.
Yeah. I mean, if you wanna do another one, I'm up for it, like, further down the road,
Yeah,
if there's, like, any kinda update on anything, I can do another one if you want.
that would be awesome. Yeah.
Oh,
Like so.
yeah, yeah.
Well, thank you for being on the podcast today, Matthew. It was a pleasure to meet you, and thank you
You
for
too.
telling your story. And we'll talk again
Yep.
real soon.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, take care.